What do Apple, Martin Luther King Jr., and the Wright brothers all have in common? It's probably not what you're thinking. Turns out they all followed this simple but incredibly powerful pattern that inspires people to action. And by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand it too. So let's start our story at the dawn of the 20th century. There's this high-stakes race going on to be the first to achieve powered flight. And I'm telling you, the outcome is, well, it's probably going to surprise you. Now, if you were a betting person back then, there was a very clear favorite. The competition was on, and on paper, it looked like it was going to be a total blowout. Okay, so on one side, you've got Samuel Pierpont Langley. I mean, this guy had everything. A massive $50,000 grant from the government, which was a fortune back then. He had a dream team of the best minds money could buy. Powerful friends like Andrew Carnegie and Alexander Graham Bell. The press followed his every move. His goal? Fame and fortune. And then, on the other side, in this humble bicycle shop, you had Wilbur and Orville Wright. They had zero funding, no high-level connections, and get this, no one on their team even had a college degree. But their goal was totally different. They were driven by a deep passion to change the world. And yet, on December 17th, 1903, it was the Wright brothers who took that first flight. So how did this happen? Why did a team with every single advantage fail, while a couple of brothers with just a dream literally changed the course of history? Well, the answer is all in how they thought and how they communicated. And to really get it, we first have to look at how most of the world operates. Most organizations, when they want to get us to do something, they don't really inspire. They manipulate, and you have seen this 1,000 times. Now, manipulation sounds like a pretty harsh word, right? But we're not necessarily talking about something evil here. We're just talking about the usual carrots and sticks that businesses use to grab our attention, especially when they don't have a clear reason why we should choose them in the first place. And I guarantee you're going to recognize all of these. Dropping the price, running a 2-for-1 promotion, using fear-based messages like buy before it's too late, or those aspirational ones, get the body of your dreams. They use peer pressure, celebrity endorsements, expert testimonials, and of course novelty, where they add one new feature and call it a revolutionary innovation. And let's be honest, these tactics totally work. They get us to click, to buy, to sign up, but there's a big problem. And here's the catch. These tactics, they lead to transactions, not loyalty. And there is a huge difference between someone who buys from you over and over and someone who is truly loyal. Okay, so if manipulation doesn't create loyalty, then what does? Well, there is another way, an alternative that completely flips the entire model on its head. This is the golden circle. And this simple little diagram is the key, the absolute key to understanding how the world's most inspiring leaders and organizations think and act. So let's break it down. All right, starting from the outside ring, we have the what. This is the easiest thing to identify. Every single company on the planet knows what it does. They sell computers, they provide legal services, they build cars. It's the tangible stuff, super clear. Moving in one layer, we get to the how. Now, some companies know how they do it. This is their differentiating value proposition, their unique process. It's how they explain what makes them different or better than the competition. But right there, at the very heart of it all, that's the why. And honestly, this is where most organizations completely stumble. Very few can clearly articulate why they do what they do. And just to be clear, we're not talking about making a profit. That's a result. We're talking about purpose, cause, belief. Why does your organization even exist? And why should anybody care? And this right here is the game changer. Most companies communicate from the outside in. They start with their what, and then maybe they talk about the how, and the why is kind of fuzzy. But the inspiring ones, every single one of them thinks, acts, and communicates from the inside out. They always start with why. I know this might sound a bit theoretical, so let's make it super concrete with an example pretty much everyone knows. Apple. So if Apple were like everyone else, their marketing would sound something like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed and user-friendly. Want to buy one? And, it's fine. It's a statement of fact, but it's not very inspiring. Now, here's how Apple actually communicates, starting with why. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautiful and simple to use. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? You feel that difference, right? One is just a product pitch. The other is a declaration of belief. And that right there leads us to the single most important sentence in this entire explainer. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The products, the computers, the phones, they're just the tangible proof of the cause. We buy the computers because we buy into Apple's mission to challenge the status quo. So you might be thinking, okay, this sounds cool, but is it just some clever marketing trick? Nope. The amazing part is that the power of the golden circle isn't just an opinion. It's rooted in the biology of the human brain. So check this out. The golden circle actually maps perfectly to how our brains are built. The outer part, the what, corresponds to our neocortex. That's the newest part of our brain, responsible for all our rational, analytical thought and language. But the core, the why and the how, that corresponds to our limbic system. This is the older part of the brain that's responsible for all our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all our behavior and decision-making. But here's the kicker. It has no capacity for language. So what does this all mean? Well, when we communicate from the outside in, starting with what, we're speaking to the part of the brain that understands facts and figures, but it doesn't drive our behavior. But when we start with why, we are talking directly to the limbic brain, the part that controls all of our decisions. The what just gives us the rational language we use to explain those decisions after we've already made them. You've totally felt this before, right? Have you ever had a gut feeling about a decision? It just felt right even if you couldn't quite explain it logically? That feeling, that's your limbic brain at work. It's the real decision maker. And that's exactly why we're so drawn to leaders and brands that make us feel like we belong, because they're speaking directly to our why. And this brings us full circle, right back to the Wright brothers. They succeeded not because they had the best stuff or the most money, but because they started with the clear why. A purpose that inspired a small team to dedicate their blood, sweat, and tears to achieve the impossible. So the real takeaway here isn't just a piece of advice, it's a challenge. Whatever you do in your work and in your life, start with why.